Moodfood is a collaborative research project involving teams from 8 countries in Europe. A team is going to produce data that other teams need to act upon in their own research. So it's all about integration, integrating the science, so that first of all, we need to integrate the science into the drafting of the intervention trial. We need to integrate the scientific opinion of major leaders to make sure that we draft the most relevant nutrition messages. And we need to integrate the science to draft at the end of the project some evidence-based nutritional strategies, nutritional guidelines and tools to help people prevention through food. We hope through Moodfood to identify some key nutrients or specific eating behavior that will impact positively mental health. Hopefully we'll produce some evidence, some findings that will inspire other teams in nutrition in Europe and beyond, why not? And maybe in future years, we'll develop a gourmet way to prevent depression.
I am the project manager of the Moodfood project, and I'm also the work package leader of work package 7, which is the management package. I hope that the Moodfood project will run smoothly and that we will come up with very nice scientific evidence, and also that we will come up with a clear message for the public later on in the project. I think that the main impact for the European citizens may be just small things that we will find, and that we will say, okay, if you change your diet or your dietary behavior a little bit, it will make you happier in the end. And that it may seem small, but because we are talking about such a large population, that the total impact may be quite large.
In Moodfood project, I'm leading the work package 2, and in work package 2 we are trying to find out how food-related behavior is linked to the food intake in one hand, and on the other hand to depressive symptoms. And what we are trying to do is not to look at it in a kind of a very holistic point of view of looking at different kind of practices and routines people have in relation to food, how they do the shopping and how they use the food at home, how they eat the meals and so on. And we also want to look at the individual tendencies and psychological eating styles. So we want to have a quite wide view to the whole food-related routines and practices. What we want to achieve is to have a better understanding how these different parts of food-related behavior act together and how they relate to each other, because quite often they are studied in different silos. So people are concentrated in nutrient intake or food intake or psychological factors, or practices people have in relation to food, but not really looking at them from the holistic point of view. So in the end, we hope that we have a better understanding of how these things relate to each other, whether the link between food intake and, or the moderate link between food intake and depressive symptoms, and if we have a better understanding, then we can also give better advice to people how to improve their well-being. I hope that's what we end up, we have a better idea what are the kind of facilitators and barriers of healthy eating, and because the project has very good links with the different stakeholders, I hope that knowledge will also go to the field.
Our group is coordinating the multi-prevention trial that could be a multi-country prevention trial that could be implemented in 4 countries with 1,000 participants. The country will be participants from the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Germany and Spain. This is a important part of the Work Package 3 because we will coordinate and to develop with all 3 sites the different aspects of this multi-country prevention trial. We have to achieve new strategies to prevent depression in overweight persons. That would be the most important reason for the prevention trial, to have data, to integrate knowledge and to have the result of this prevention trial, to know what happened with modification with habits, diet, lifestyle habits, diet habits, and as well the utilization of some multivitamins and multinutrients as a comparator of different strategies to prevent this depression. I think that the major impact will be to integrate this scientific knowledge and especially to develop guidelines and clinical tools useful for health professionals, general populations, and obviously for policymakers in the future of the best mental health in the European community.
I'm leading work package 4, which is the work package where we are collecting the data of the prevention trial that we are conducting within the Moodfood project. And I'm also participating in some of the other work packages by providing data from the Netherlands study of depression and anxiety, and that's a study that I'm the PI of. Well, I think the topic of depression and obesity is very important. We know that obesity is increasing the risk for depression, and we also know that depression is increasing the risk of becoming obese. So I think this project is essential in finding out how it comes that these two conditions are related. And in addition to that, I also hope that Moodfood, through the trial we are conducting, is providing new keys of how we can intervene on the comorbidity between depression and obesity. We know that obesity and depression are both very common, and they are actually increasing health conditions. They are more and more prevalent. So I think we need alternative ways of how we can approach these two conditions. And I think, of course, testing nutritional strategies is a very prominent and very important tool that we can achieve through this project, and that we can then disseminate and make sure European people can use those interventions.
I'm the coordinator of the Moodfood project, and I initiated the creation of a big consortium on nutrition and depression in Europe. There are several things that we would like to achieve. First of all, we would like to obtain more knowledge how nutrition could be linked to depression. And that's, I think, our main scientific goal. But I think there are other goals as well. For example, we know that the project will last for 5 years. But we have many young researchers involved. And what I'm hoping for is that these young researchers will gain more knowledge on the relationship between nutrition and depression, and that we will continue that work even after the Moodfood project has been finished. Well, I'm really hoping that we can find some causal links between nutrition and depression, and that we can translate these causal links to guidelines for EU citizens on how to eat. And if it could benefit their overall health and especially their mental health, then that would be a huge impact of the project.